Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned Albino ranks all the bosses in Dark Souls 2 from easiest to hardest. There's 41 of them. This is gonna be long. As such, I can't afford the time to waste on an intro. Sunburned Albino, show me the easiest boss. Number 1, Iron King. Because why not hit him with controversy right out of the gate? This should prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is in fact a Sunburned Albino ranking. The easiest boss in Dark Souls 2 is the Iron King. I'm doing no damage on account of my shitty, barely reinforced weapons. This was a transitory period in my build. If you have even a half-decent blade, you can cut through his arms and face like they're an arm and a face. He does a flawless impression of a statue for like 5 full seconds after every attack. I mean, if I had this dude's landing leg, I wouldn't make it out of things betwixt. Sure, he hits hard, but you dodge harder. The only real danger is you falling into that lava gap in the back, which has happened to every single person, so don't feel bad. Number 2, Covetous Demon. Just a fat, blubbery slug is the second easiest boss in the game. It has small, stubby arms that I can't imagine how they carry enough force to swing his whole body. Maintaining any kind of distance from the boss guarantees permanent safety. You can just run in and hit a few times and retreat, or just run in, hit a few times, hit a few more times, hit a bunch more times after that, and win. Number 3, Dragon Rider. I don't believe your name. Your whole identity is based on something you're not showing us right now. Here, you're just a set of armor with a halberd who routinely attacks himself off the stage if I don't widen the playing field. I chose to fight him honorably to show off how much he enjoys mooning you while he destroys whatever imaginary opponent he thinks he's facing in the opposite direction. Knock him unconscious with a blunt instrument and move along. Number 4, Last Giant. I don't know how this one outlived his entire species. Even the basic memory giants pose more of a challenge than this self-dismemberer. In the middle of the fight, he pulls off his own fucking arm because you can never have too much range when you're attacking someone who is always as close to you as possible. What you should have done was rip off your leg and play hopscotch like an elementary school amputee. That's one less target for me to hit, and you'd be constantly crushing my body. Just a good idea. Number 5, Prowling Magus and Congregation. Welcome to the boss fight that put Dylan Roof in jail. After a cave full of spiders, naturally it's time to shoot up a church. Whatever god they're praying to, you can be sure has abandoned them. Prostration is actually an effective method of dodging rapier attacks, apparently. Obviously, a big sweeping weapon could dust bust this entire room, though. Nothing they do is particularly dangerous, but if you get hit by enough small things with a previously drained Estus flask, you might find yourself at 1 HP, either finishing them off or getting ready to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Number 6, Demon of Song. I always thought the Souls series was missing a giant frog condom boss. Glad they took my advice. When the Demon of Song isn't preventing pregnancy, he's tearing at the tip, trying to slam you with his gangly, rotten arms. This whole fight is a metaphor for how scary sex can be for women. Imagine your pond, all peaceful and still, until this thing starts flopping and smashing around in it. I'd be wary. Number 7, Aldia, the Scholar of the First Sin. This giant burning tree hollow, for how specific of tasks you have to complete to fight him, is pretty much nothing. You can hit him whenever he's not on fire, or when he's on fire, and just walk around most of his attacks. He does have one giant flame orb that you do not want to hit you, but while he's charging it, you get like 10 full seconds to blast him, and then you just have to sprint away. He can teleport around the map, which really helps him because there's no point to that at all. Also, yes, this is the Black Knight Halberd. Old habits die hard. Number 8, Vendrick. Vendrick is like an old man on life support swinging a sword at you. He's technically dangerous, but you'd have to be pretty careless to get hurt. For every giant soul you don't have in your inventory, the boss doubles his damage resistance, but I've got all 5 for this fight, so he going down quick. Vendrick does a shitload of damage, but he only has 2 regular attacks that are really easy to dodge except that time. Make like a retirement home and put him down. Number 9, Flexile Sentry. Hanging out in the stern of the ship is the Flexile Sentry, Siamese twins who poop into each other's buttholes and pulverize the same enemies. You'll want the mace wielder to be facing you. His attacks are a lot easier to dodge. The ship has started taking on water up to our waists, so clearly it'll be in fine sailing condition after the boss is dead. His combos are rudimentary and slow, so there shouldn't be any real problem. Number 10, Nashandra. Nashandra, the skeleton cosplay queen, has a reputation as a disappointingly easy final boss in a Souls game. I don't find her disappointing, but she sure is easy. She starts off by spawning curse orbs that hover around the arena and do quick curse build-up when you walk next to them. Attacking them makes them disappear without so much as a sound effect. There should be a sound effect. Otherwise, you can bait her laser attack and run in for years, or easily dodge her apathetic scythe swings. She does have an AoE, but it's like, why? Is that really what's gonna save you? Number 11, Pursuer. The Pursuer is much more easily fought up in that open castle roof where you have plenty of room to move around. It's a bit more cramped over by the Ballista, which you can use to do massive damage to the Pursuer if you're feeling particularly unskilled. You can strafe his charge attack no problem, otherwise rolling in a semi-acceptable manner will keep you safe from the rest. By the way, adaptability is the most important stat in this game. You're going to want that up to 26 to level up the agility substat if you don't want to be clipped every time you try to roll. Attunement also levels up agility if you're a mage. Agility controls not only the invincibility frames of your dodge, but also the amount of time it takes to drink an Estus flask, so it's essential to improve as early as possible, which is why I never level up anything else until that happens. Number 12, Guardian Dragon. For a boss that breathes fire, he sure doesn't resist it that well. It's Spyro all over again. Guardian Dragon is very frail. His only means of counterattack is to fly in the air and try to douse you in flames that he would also die from, apparently. If he clings to the wall, you want to go directly underneath him. Otherwise, hug the edge of the cage to avoid the Inferno Fire Blast. When he's on the ground, he's even easier than the Heidi Dragon. Your stamina factors in 0% in this fight, so go crazy with it. Number 13, Royal Rat Vanguard. Sweeping weapon, good. Thrust weapon, bad. If you can keep the rats at range, you're in a great spot. Kill enough of them, and the Big Daddy Mohawk rat comes out to play and take massive damage from your attacks. A couple teeth piercings from him will run your blood toxic, though. Also, it helps not to get petrified by the lesser rats, who for some reason have the better status affliction. Number 14, Mytha Baneful Queen. Gorgon Extraordinaire Mytha lives in a vat of poison that doesn't drain unless you torch the Earthen Peak windmill. If you don't torch it, your journey will not be a pleasant one. Mytha heals when she slithers around in poison, but her attacks are weak and very dodgeable. Only thing you want to watch out for is her soul spears she does out of her face she's holding. You know when you throw your face on the ground and it explodes, and then you quickly dive at it and snatch it up again? High school was fun. Number 15, The Rotten. The Rotten is all about patient dodges and stamina management. Like many of the people who came before him, he is easy to deal with, provided your sense of timing is at least slightly better than garbage. His arm can grab you and he's got AoE, but you can always back up for a second if you need a breather. What'll probably do the most damage to you is just walking on hot coals like a desperate magician. Number 16, Old Dragon Slayer. This is actually my second favorite fight in the game, because it's easy, but it still feels like you're hella good when you win. Little known fact, the identity of this Dragon Slayer is actually Smaug from Dark Souls 1. Hashtag bait, hashtag double bait, hashtag some of you will still take the bait. He's the first boss that doesn't seem like a pattern fiend programmed to only do a couple of things in strict order. He feels alive and aware. How come bosses get hyper armor whenever they miss attacks that leave them wide open? Why should they be rewarded for fucking up? Kill this man. Number 17, Ava, the King's Pet. Now this is my favorite battle. Again, it's easy, but it's cool as hell. Fighting a giant frost tiger is epic. Fighting two of them is ass, but we'll get to that. Ava has a wide array of magical abilities that are all very difficult to not dodge. Whether you're sprinting past the projectiles or backing up slowly against his AoEs, the real pleasure comes from rolling correctly past all his swipes and jump attacks. This is a fight where it matters what direction you roll. You want to roll toward the attacks so they pass you faster without clipping. I love to just bonfire aesthetic replay the boss until it gets too bulky for me to kill. It's that fun of an encounter. Number 18, Giant Lord. This boss is basically the last giant in a ghillie suit with a big-ass sword. Due to the camera, it's often hard to see where the sword attack will come from, but muscle memory dodge timing will get you through. If you've got a long weapon like me, you can hit multiple boss weak points with one strike for extra damage. Just keep poking at his undercarriage until he falls over. Number 19, Skeleton Lords. Pro tip, skeletons don't bleed. You use a bleed weapon on them, you make a fool out of yourself. I mean, maybe you can make them like gush marrow, but that would be a pretty specific status ailment to render. The lords have to gang up on you to make up for their flimsy ways, and when you kill them, they unleash even more hordiness on your ass. One of them spawns the dreaded wheel skeletons, though not as many as he used to pre-PS4. You want to kill them as they're putting themselves together, like you're stomping a Lego creation your kid brother just spent an hour on. Number 20, Scorpioness Nachka. Nachka starts out buried up to her tits in sand hurling soul spears. It's not until she emerges from her dune trap that the Scorpioness aspect comes into play. Abandon all hope of a nip slip though, her hair is super glued to her bosoms in classic Dark Souls fashion, giving you Quelaag flashbacks as she impales you with her spear. You can cut off her tail stingers, but you're better off not doing that, because the attacks involving those leave her the most vulnerable. Eventually she'll burrow under the desert again, but there's a safe zone on some bricks you can stand on to not be hit by her re-entry into society. Her most dangerous attack is her homing soul mass, which wouldn't be a problem if it just launched at you from far away, but she has a habit of chasing you down like a motherfucker after she casts it, giving you no time to evade. That doesn't mean you can't still chop her into bug bits, though. Number 21, Twin Dragon Riders. If you thought one Dragon Rider was hard, you'll probably never get to this boss. Twin Dragon Riders pits you against the same Dragon Rider you previously killed, along with one of his bowman friends who happens to have just the worst kind of armor. They both take pretty incredible damage, and it's worth tanking a hit of theirs if you go all out with a move that strikes both of them. Just don't get cornered or comboed and you'll take it. Number 22, Executioner's Chariot. Welcome to the only fight in any Souls game that forces me to use a shield. To block with, anyway. This fight plays out like a NASCAR event with one chariot that you need to not get run over by. You'll spend most of your time hiding in gaps and getting cleaved by skeletons, hence why the shield is necessary to block them until the chariot smashes them to pieces. These Hex Girls are gonna put a spell on you, but mostly they just resurrect the skeletons, so you gotta do away with them. After you pull the lever at the end, the chariot rider goes splat on the iron bars, so you just have the horse to deal with, which isn't difficult, but what a slog to get here, right? Number 23, Lost Sinner. The Lost Sinner is mildly relentless, which led to her being a rather difficult fight for new players, but with knowledge of her patterns comes peace of mind. She landing lags her attacks more than she needs to, which creates small but prominent openings in her defense. If you do get injured, it can be harrowing to try and use Estus at the right moment to not die, but eventually this fight will seem trivial compared to the other bosses I've yet to name. No jokes for this one? Fucking lazy. Blah 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 bondage, blah blah sex dungeon. Number 24, Velstadt. A loyal servant to King Vendrick even after his massive hollowing, Velstadt is nevertheless nothing more than a neat armor set with slow and predictable attacks, to the point where even he gets demoted to minion mob status in the Sunken King DLC. Maybe if he spent a little less time ringing the dinner bell and more time executing a plan of attack, he'd be formidable, but no such luck. Once imbued with darkness, he does get bulkier, but he finds his slowness too essential to give up, so he's still not much. Number 25, Smelter Demon. Smelter Demon is apparently very capable of shrugging off attacks from non-reinforced weapons and bleed rapiers that can't bleed him. I'm doing so little damage to him this whole fight that it takes over 10 minutes to win, but the fact that I can survive that mess means Smelter Demon is very handleable. His combos are straightforward to dodge, but after he ignites the stove in his body, you'll take continuous fire damage whenever you get near him. Other things to watch out for include his Sword Plunge AoE that has more range than the developers knew how to draw, I guess. Sometimes I touch myself at night thinking about what this fight would have been like with an actual weapon. Number 26, Sin, the Slumbering Dragon. The new Dark Souls 3 DLC has made me hate dragon bosses, but Sin isn't that bad. The key to avoiding his toxic shock syndrome is to follow him wherever he goes in the air, and he goes into the air a lot, so you might as well be training for a marathon. His dragon scales are stronger than most substances, and thus your weapons break easily upon striking him, so you want a bracing knuckle ring to slow degradation, unless you feel like junking your entire inventory. On the ground, Sin only has a couple forward-facing attacks, so you can wail on him with relative abandon if you get around to his sides. Even if he clips you with something, you'll always have enough time to heal after he inevitably takes to the sky immediately. I used to hate this fight before I knew what to do, and now it ain't no thing. Number 27, Duke's Dear Freya. I used to have zero issue with this boss, other than the fact that it's a disgusting phobia fucking nightmare. Then the PS4 Scholar of the First Sin edition of Dark Souls 2 came out and they decided that Dear Freya should have unlimited spider minions and a delayed version of its jaw clamp. You can still kind of tell whether the jaw clamp will be delayed or not based on how wide the mandibles spread before impact, but having to learn this new timing throws a huge wrench in the forward roll strat that carried me to easy victory so many times before. Dealing with annoying spiderlings throughout the whole fight instead of just the beginning if you clear them out fast enough is also wretched, but otherwise this is the same battle as before. The game makes you feel disgusting by making it so staying as close to Freya as possible is the best way to avoid damage. Without question, my least favorite boss in this game. Number 28, Royal Rat Authority. People always come into my post-Bloodborne boss rankings wondering who's gonna be that video's ROM, the anti-sunburned albino boss. But Dark Souls 2 has fucking 4 of them, and this is one, so strap in! Royal Rat Authority is undoubtedly the most bullshit boss in this game. Like the Capra Demon of Souls 1, this bitch relies on his toxicology minions to addle the hell out of you before he even jumps from his perch. If you don't kill them all immediately, you're gonna have a bad time, and if you get badly poisoned, you should just count yourself dead. If you can manage to bring the encounter to a 1v1, it's not so terrible, but it has taken me attempt after attempt to reach that level of confidence. If you have bad agility, you can Alzheimer's about dodging any of his attacks, especially his charging headbutt, which is maybe the hardest move to learn the roll timing of in this entire game. As I always say to gold diggers, staying underneath him is the key to success. He'll often run away and charge headbutt you, which is why it's so important to learn how to roll inward and slightly to the right to get prime real estate behind his legs. I hate this boss. Number 29, Ruin Sentinels. I remember my early Souls career. I thought this boss was impossible to take down solo. A 3-on-1 fight? Who could ever manage that? But with experience comes arrogance and posturing, and random voice cracks apparently. The Sentinels are weak to magic, so coating your weapon in it will demolish their health bars. You want to kill the first one before the second decides to jump up to a party he wasn't invited to. At that point I just fall down and take him 2v1. All you have to do is wait for them to be in close to the same position, walk up and bait both of them into doing an attack at the same time, then use your opening to wail on whichever's the closest. Rolling attacks following a rolling dodge are another good way to safely approach. If you're struggling with Ruin Sentinels, it's easy to just say get good, but why settle for good? Get great, then you'll be in no trouble. Number 30, Elana, Squalid Queen. Elana's basically a smaller Nashandra, but she actually does stuff. She can spawn skeletons and a Velstadt clone that can be real annoying to fight while you're trying to dodge her dark orbs. Her worst attack though is this explosion spell she casts that actually tracks your movement and tries to spawn where you're gonna be, so you can't just sprint in one direction away from it. I get caught in that explosion most of the time because it's such a big radius too. She's also far less docile than Nashandra in terms of melee attacks, so you can't just beat her senseless with no regard for anything, which I don't prefer, but it's still not too demanding to send her back to the spirit realm. Number 31, Gank Squad. That's just their official name now, it's before my time. After traversing through a garbage petrification statue area, you come upon 3 adventurers with 0 lore significance who form a Destiny fire team to take you out. We've got a Havel clone with a dragon tooth who wouldn't stagger during an earthquake, some assassin-type dude with dual swords who has homing jump attacks somehow, and a guy with a big bow. The first 2 people will chase you everywhere you go, while the third sticks to the middle and tries to shoot you. So I like to lead the gankers on a quick perimeter check and then lose them long enough to dole out some major pain on the wannabe Elan Knight. Once he's dead, dealing with the 2 remaining assholes is just a matter of taking what few openings you'll get by baiting attacks from both dudes at once, while keeping in mind that you shouldn't attack Havel until he's done at least 3 consecutive swings. Backstab is your friend in this encounter, and the boss is your enemy, if that wasn't clear. Number 32, Throne Watcher and Defender. One watches and the other defends, which makes me wonder why they're both defending right now. Shouldn't one of them just have their gaze fixated on the throne so I can stab them in the back? I forget which is which, but I think the Watcher is the smaller one and the more aggressive one. The Defender will kind of hang out in the back, so you should take those opportunities to punish every move the Watcher makes, but try to keep them mildly taken down together because if one dies, the other can revive him after a while. Number 33, Ancient Dragon. Hey, anti-sunburned albino boss number 2. Ancient Dragon has the highest HP in the game, and this battle is the most frustrating test of patience I've ever seen. You have to spend most of your time miles away from the boss so you don't get royally singed, and then bait out a straight fire breath so you can run up and clip his toenails 2 or 3 times before you book it to the other side of the arena. Whatever you do, you must have room to run backwards, so if Ancient Dragon starts hovering closer and closer to you, it's time to sprint behind him next time you have an opening. All the fire defense in the world will not help you survive an inferno from this boss. I went full smelter armor one time with a flame quartz ring at 30 vigor, and I get 2-shotted anyway. Beating Ancient Dragon is a fucking feat. It's not difficult to do things right, but it's such a drawn-out trial and I never want to do it again. Number 34, Belfry Gargoyles. I am not good at multi-boss encounters. The gargoyles don't do anything terrible, but eventually there will be so many of them that you're bound to get wrecked by something you can't account for on your camera. Greed kills. This fight is sped up because I spend so much time cowering all over the map waiting for opportunities that rarely come, and when they do, I don't recognize them. By the way, I'd like to dissuade everyone from commenting about how a particular build makes a particular boss easy. Obviously, I'm not going to change my build for one boss. I want to defeat something with what I got, and this is the boss ranking build. Number 35, Sur Elan. I didn't have much experience with this boss going in fact I don't think I'd ever beaten it before, but it's a fun fight locked behind an annoying timed trek to the boss room. Sir Alon is kinda like a buffed Lost Sinner, but with varying timings that can be very tense to dodge. Strafing around his right side helps ruin his combo slashes, but you're just gonna have to trial and error his long range attacks to figure out the timing. An error is extremely annoying when you're dueling in a memory you then get kicked out of. Sir Alon gets my pulse pounding, I highly recommend it. Number 36, Fume Knight. When I was doing my co-op with chat playthrough of Dark Souls 2 and I got to the Fume Knight, there were a lot of comments about how he was everybody's hardest boss in the game. I disagree. I think he's fine. Like with Alon, you can right strafe him to neuter his combo potential, and then take easy opening swipes afterwards. As long as you can roll properly across his energy swing and through his energy orbs, you really don't have anything to worry about. I think it's mostly shield builds and low agility characters that struggle here. Like I said, agility is king in this game, and it will take its motherfucking crown. I read somewhere that you can only beat Fume Knight if you have a big dick, so congratulations to some of us. Number 37, Burnt Ivory King. Whether or not the Burnt Ivory King is going to go well for you is a question of luck and happenstance. You begin by launching a full-scale assault on the Charred Knights and Pyromancers of Lois, who are for some reason not strong against fire damage. I mean, I guess if they're charred, it means any fire resistance they used to maybe have is now gone, but whatever. As you kill these otherwise difficult to stagger enemies, your friends you've collected throughout the area will become ice blocks that freeze shut the portals that spawn your foes. At least that's the idea. I gathered every available knight, but sometimes they refused to close the last portal before the boss entered the arena, and I was then forced to dodge fireballs and the Ivory King simultaneously, which ended in death. The boss is flashy, but not hard to avoid. Even when he summons his magic javelin, the dodge timings are the same. Just keep at that shit. Number 38, Looking Glass Knight. ROM number 3. The Looking Glass Knight has the most garbage, disjointed, lingering hitboxes I have ever seen. It took me 7 tries to kill him because he's such a trash monster. Even his armor looks recycled. There's something about his sword swings where even if you dodge through them, they carry you slightly in the direction they're going and you get hit anyway because the Looking Glass Knight was born in a landfill and found a discarded bathroom mirror to use as a shield. This fight is waste. It's refuse. And all the other trash synonyms I've already used. It wasn't during this attempt, but the boss actually summoned a fucking human invader into my world through his shield. I got mirror squired on PS4 in Dark Souls 2 in 2017. Who is doing this today? Do you know what year it is? Of course he wrecked me. What do you think I'm good at PvP? Every time a Dark Spirit NPC invades my world, my teeth get grinded down another millimeter. Screw the Looking Glass Knight. Just call yourself the Mirror Knight, you pretentious tin fucker. Number 39, Lud and Zalin. I may have liked facing off against one tiger, but 2 sucks the fun right out of it. The battle starts off normal. Lud or Zalin, whichever's first, is basically the same moveset as Ava, and you think you're in for a well-deserved, enjoyable time after a snowy hell of getting butt-fucked by spiky thunder gazelles. Then Lud or Zalin, whichever's last, joins the fight, and they close in for the kill. Now, I got extremely lucky that this was my first attempt this playthrough, and I managed to kill Lud or Zalin, whichever's first, before Lud or Zalin, whichever's last, even got on the field. The Black Knight Halberd is my savior, and it was hitting multiple weak points at once to stack up damage quickly. At this point, the tension rose dramatically because I knew if I died now, it was never going to be this easy again. When you sufficiently damage Lud or Zalin, whichever's still alive, he'll crack open a Tiger Life Gem and start constantly regaining health, so you can't afford to not be aggressive. But don't let it get you impatiently dumb. It's pretty much exactly like Ava now, so just calm down and enjoy the encounter. And there's no worries, because if you die, you can just uninstall the game. Number 40, Dark Lurker. Dark Lurker was the last boss I ever fought in this playthrough, so I faced him at my strongest, and I still was not impressed with the amount of damage I was doing. Defensively, I was also stacked. Full Velstadt armor, mostly reinforced for a strong dark defense, high poise, and the dark quartz ring to stave off dark attacks even more, and I still was not impressed by the massive damage I was taking. Dark Lurker don't care about your quote-unquote resistances. He will shoot slow-moving dark orbs at you that explode half the continent and half your HP almost no matter what. Everything else he does is manageable. His energy sword swings are slow and predictable. The fireballs are slow and predictable. Even when he splits into 2 and does multiple attacks independently, they're slow and predictable. Except for that damn dark homing explosion, which is now twice the frequency. You really just have to hope he doesn't do it often and try to finish the fight as quick as possible. Number 41, Blue Smelter Demon. Rejoice! For I have fulfilled your albino expectations tremendously and provided more than fuck. Rejoice, for I have fulfilled your albino expectations tremendously and provided more than enough oil to fan the flames of comment war. Anti-sunburned albino Dark Souls 2 ROM boss number 4 and the hardest boss in Dark Souls 2, Blue Smelter Demon is like Red Smelter Demon, only intolerable. Every attack you thought you understood with regular Smelter Demon now has an alternate version he can do on a whim that delays the attack just enough to fuck the shit out of your timing. This boss is the biggest troll in Souls history. I'm doing quintuple the damage I was doing to regular Smelter Demon, but this one gives me infinitely more trouble. Is he gonna do his regular attack, or is he gonna hold the sword above his head for 5 more seconds and just wait for you to prematurely roll before he chops you in half like a melting butcher? I rage quitted this boss on my co-op stream, which had a very meager amount of co-op in it, and I popped off like a Super Smash Bros. Melee player after I finally beat him during footage collection. Why couldn't Blue Smelter Demon be like White Covetous Demon? Just a nothing clone that didn't add anything. I'd have vastly preferred that. Well, that's gonna do it for this boss ranking. Of course, I have rankings for other Souls games, Neo and Kingdom Hearts you can check out on my channel. These are the only videos of mine that reach people that aren't subscribed to me, so hey newcomers, I stream a lot and do Let's Plays for incredibly niche audiences. Come check it out sometime. To the rest of you, like, share, and already subscribed, and I'll see you guys next time.